another episode of the Jennifer L. Watson Show, and I am so excited for this episode because we're talking about Chinese medicine, fertility, natural treatments, just really getting yourself to be your best you without all the conventional things, right? So I have Joy Rosa here that is going to be talking about all of this, and we're going to dig into that just in a minute after I roll my little clip, if I can find out where it is.
This video has been made possible by House of Oya Botanica, your one-stop shop for all of your spiritual needs. And if you're checking us out on Facebook, don't forget to heart, follow, and share this broadcast out. And if you are on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share as well. All right, thanks for tuning in, and on with the show.
So I'm going to tell you a little secret. I did not know that when I switched to format that it would just completely screw up my little intro, but it's okay. I'm okay with that. I was trying to change it back and it just wouldn't change back. Oh, can you hear me? I know we were having some technical issues earlier. So hold on, let me make sure you can hear me. Oh no. I'm going to text her. So hopefully she hasn't frozen. So while you're here, you can't hear me? Oh no, okay. So technical things is just not my thing. So we just have to try to keep playing around with this until we can get it right. So while y'all are there, just bear with us 1 second because you're not going to want to miss this information while we're getting into natural care. This is a hot topic. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, it said that she's muted. So hold on, let me see if can you hear me now? No? Okay. So hold on, everybody. Hold on. All right, so while y'all are waiting, we're gonna I'm texting her now from my phone to make sure that we can try to handle this technical glitch. Right now I'm asking for her to hang up and then come back in. So hopefully that is gonna work because Miss Joy Rosa is here. She owns an acupuncture shop and things like that. So bear with us. Hold on. Well, while we're waiting for her to join back, I am excited for this episode because, I have experienced my own need for a more non-traditional route and something that is a little bit more holistic in nature, because I don't know if y'all know my story or not, but excuse me, and I'll get into this, and I'm going to talk a little bit more with her about this too, about certain things that people can do. And I myself, I went through a whole geriatric pregnancy, and it was an interesting time because I think I was 37, 38. I can't remember if I gave birth at 39 or 38. I don't remember, but it was pretty horrific on my end within the traditional medical system. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted her, hey Shaman, why I wanted her to come on the show, and she'll be back. We're having some technical issues. That's one of the reasons why I wanted her on the show, to just kind of help other people navigate this, world of medicine, And so I want to give people hope that you don't have to be afraid, and you don't have to be in a place of doubtfulness just because someone else doesn't tell you. I mean, just because someone else tells you, who's in the medical profession, hey, you can't do this, when you can come back and say, Yes, I can. So I have Miss Joy Rosa that is going to try to come back in on the show. We're having some technical issues, just got to kind of play around with it. And I think she is here getting herself. Okay.
We're back. These times. We good.
Okay, awesome. I was just sitting here like rambling. I'm like, okay, y'all, please wait. She's coming back, I promise.
Thank you. Thank you for being patient.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So this is Miss Joy Rosa. She's getting herself set up here. Take all the time you need. This woman is phenomenal. I've had a chance to chat with her, and I'm so thankful for the conversations that we've had, especially with her coming onto the show to really give hope and peace to people out there that, maybe going through fertility challenges and things like that, but we want to give you hope. I've gone through myself. So, yay, you're here. I'm happy. Oh my goodness, y'all just don't know. Before we even went live, like technical things were just jumping right off. And so, we gonna get this message out. Nothing is gonna stop us now.
Right.
So, excuse me. Joy, tell me about you. Like, how did you get into Chinese medicine? And then tell us what all of that is about.
Yeah, of course. Well, hi, my name is Joy Rosa X, and I got involved with Chinese medicine, going on 12 years. I started patient. I had my own issues and things like that I really wanted to, heal. I wanted to heal myself. I knew that, there were certain like doctors that I was going to that weren't really giving me the answers that my body, my people, my, energetic being needed. And so I just kind of was like, I think I need to become my own doctor one day. And I mean, I was already doing that. I just wasn't calling it that at the time. When you learn how to grow your own food and you learn how to, learn about your herbs and you're making your things in your kitchen and, it's always been a practice. I think that just the little girl in me survived all these years of like crystals and plants and food and things like that. So it all just kind of came into my adult life. But I had my own issues with like not fertility, but just like being a woman and my health in general. And then I also had like really severe musculoskeletal injuries from a bad bicycling accident that I had that actually really severely impacted my spinal cord and my nervous system. So all of that kind of interplays into like, what Chinese medicine is, like how does it work, that kind of thing. So kind of putting all of those pieces together of, mind, body, spirit, and how really I'm putting into effect like mind over matter. Like I can heal myself, and innately, original people, we know this, like I can heal myself, we can totally do this. So it's just been a practice, and practice just makes better practice. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Beautiful. Okay, so you may hear my mic going in and out, and it's because, again, somebody said it's cool, everything is in retrograde. Retrograde is retrograding. So that's true. And the reason why I have to put myself on mute is because for some reason, when I'm not on mute, it's cutting you out. So I'm just like, I don't want anybody to miss anything that you're saying. So, okay. So yes, we did talk about the accident that you had and how it did some things to your body that made it not work in its optimal shape. So do you mind sharing a little bit about how you...
Yeah. Like how I came back from that kind of. Well, it was about 12 years ago. I had just graduated with my undergraduate degree, and like I was pretty much bedridden. Like it had so severely wrecked my nervous system and like my spinal cord and my neck that kind of traveled down into my sacrum and my pelvis. I was incontinent. I couldn't move. Like if you had me flat on the floor, like I couldn't move my legs. I was like partially paralyzed. And I even had gone to a chiropractor who had diagnosed me with a pretty severe like spinal injury called equina, which generally a lot of people like don't bounce back from. And I was, this is kind of the roundabout story, but there was a Earth fair, like an Earth Day fair at my university, and there just happened to be an acupuncturist there, and she put a few needles in me, and my whole back just felt totally better after that. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that is, but okay. And my neighbor across the street had just asked me about this too. She was like, well, you know, you're in such like bad shape, but like, have you ever tried acupuncture? And I was like, I have no idea what that is. Like, only you would know what this is. I've never heard of this before. I don't know what it is. And then I met that acupuncturist that put the needles in for my back. And roundaboutly, if you know, like a year later, I was in a band, and my bandmate, she said, hey, there's a job opening. It's a Chinese herbal pharmacist at a acupuncture shop. Would you be interested? And I was like, dude, that's what I do. Like, I love that. And so it was then and there that I really started getting regular acupuncture treatment and was taking herbs regularly. And it took a long time, you know, because this was all new to me. I didn't know what other things I needed to do, like to meet that medicine halfway. But over time, eventually, I think for me, that the course of that healing took about 4 years. And that was also at the very beginnings of my medical school, like Chinese medical school beginnings too. So like I was healing as I was learning this medicine, which was cool because I would just get really nerdy and really into it. You know, you start kind of like diagnosing yourself and thinking about all these other things. So I was, yeah, it was like full throttle student.
Oh, that's awesome. Like, okay. So let me ask you this because I was listening to you and talking about the herbs and things of that nature, and I'm really into herbs too. So I guess my question is like, are they the herbs that we know, or are these herbs that we don't know? And if we don't know, like, how do people, or how can people find it? Do they have to go to a Chinese medicine pharmacist? Do they come to you? Like, would you prescribe that? Like, how does that all work with herbs? I love herbs. I'm obsessed with them.
I love this question. I think that's a really awesome, valid question too. And I'm looking through this book because I want to like give a few examples of like herbs that you could find in stores, and like herbs that you would have to like really come to a practitioner for. And the reason for that is like a lot of people are familiar with things like cinnamon, right? Or we would call that bark rogui in Chinese, and like that's really helpful. It's really warming. So Chinese herbs go by the taste, flavor, nature, and temperature of an herb. So it's a little different than studying herbology with a Western framework as well. And the difference is, and maybe the West is kind of like coming around to this because I see more like holistic, like natural medicine kind of looking through a Chinese lens of diagnostics. But for the longest time, it was just like completely separate. So for instance, like in Western herbalism, you might just prescribe like one herb. Everybody knows the adaptogen ashwagandha, right? But in Chinese medicine, we would never give just one herb to a patient because you're a holistic being. So one herb isn't going to just like eradicate every ailment that you have. We're looking at your mind, body, and your spirit. So the herbs also have a mind, body, and spirit of their own. We use everything from root to rhizome, to petal to leaf, to even like fungus on an herb, you know, just different things. And some of those herbs are like, I guess they would probably say them as like a medical grade, where like you'd have to like get them wholesalely from somebody. Some things you can grow yourself, you know, and have on hand. Some things cross over in Western medicine, like dongui, like people know dongui, right? Angelica root. And then there are other things like, well, honghua. Honghua is a safflower. It's the flower part, but everything is dried. So that's also like a good blood warmer, blood mover. and we also have to think about things in terms of yin and yang, right? So that's part of the general principles of diagnostics in Chinese medicine, as well as just theory in general of life, like the duality of nature. And it's because we're 3D beings. So just thinking about those. Yeah.
Excuse me. I find that very interesting. I'm gonna tell you, I have so like in my workshop, I have like probably about, I don't know, 50 different herbs or whatever that's in jars. And one of those herbs is angelica root. I had no idea that it was called Dangwei, and I know and I have heard of that term before. So you have taught me something new today. And no clue. Um, so I know we kind of dived into this like straight head first, but like when it comes to Chinese medicine, I guess what is the I guess what's a really good definition for somebody that just doesn't know anything about it?
Yeah. Like, so there's a difference between like Chinese medicine has different facets of itself, right? And acupuncture is just one of them. So you have acupuncture, you have movement therapy like qigong and tai chi, you have herbalism, you have food therapy. There's different levels of Chinese medicine as a whole. It's over 3,000 years old. You're looking at mind, body, and spirit. You're looking at the idea of qi, or like the vital essence. And all of it is about like more life. You're wanting to extend your life, expand your life, and live a healthy life, not just the time, but the quality of life is really important. And so we often are speaking about the constant force of qi, right? The life force, the energy of qi. Some people spell it qi, I do, and some people spell it chi. Same thing, qi. And like some of the first needles that were even made were from like bronze, or I'm sorry, stone and bone, and then went to like like Bronze Age type metals. And then in the 70s is really when acupuncture and Chinese medicine became popular in the United States. Like that in and of itself has a really cool long history and a Black history, which is very important for people to know and understand, because nobody ever wants to give credence to the origins of life. And that is that.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because this is another thing that I'm about to have my mind blown that I don't know. So let's talk about that history. Like because when you hear Chinese medicine, you don't think Black, right? What is that? Tell us, come on.
So cool, because in the 70s, so we have to go back to like a really large story in 1971, and there was a journalist that was accompanied by Henry Kissinger, and they actually all took a trip to China, and that guy, he had appendicitis and he had to have surgery over in China. And within the surgery they used acupuncture instead of anesthesia. And so he was just automatically fascinated by medicine, which they still do to this day. They still use, we're in present day 2023, right? So a lot of, even in the East, even in Asia, they use acupuncture and like Western medicine together, but you don't always necessarily have to, because this East Asian indigenous medicine has stood the test of time. It's where Western medicine derives from. Again, Chinese medicine's 3,000 years old plus, and Western medicine is only 150 years old. So when you put those things in comparison, you can see where even things like pharmaceuticals are being derived from plant medicine and things like that. So, but back to the Black history, that journalist, I think he was so fascinated. And so another man had published an article in the New York Times in the 70s. And that was really like the first inception of how traditional Chinese medicine was birthed in the United States, right? I'm using like huge air quotes, but it wasn't until, right, we had the Black Power movement, we had the Panther Party, we had the Young Lords with the Puerto Ricans. And in the 1970s, in the Lincoln Memorial Hospital in the Bronx, New York, we had none other than Dr. Mutulu Shakur. May Allah be pleased with him. He just passed away recently. And he was incarcerated for decades, right? And so there's a long history with him and his amazing works within the acupuncture world as a doctor of acupuncture. But one of his biggest blessings to us was all of his work at the Lincoln Memorial Hospital, because in the Bronx in New York in the 70s, all of our people were, inundated with different kinds of drugs that were infiltrating the community and wanting to tamp us down, wanting to, kind of darken the light, if you will. And so he was really instrumental in bringing about the NADA protocol. NADA is an acronym for National Acupuncture Detox Association, or 5NP, so NP, which means that there are 5 points that you can put in either ear at the same time. And you are helping to re-regulate the body's nervous system. You are also helping to detoxify the body, and you are also helping to overcome cravings and things like that. So that is where we can start to see the Black history influencing the acupuncture world. But as Black Asiatic people, this was, world over from the beginning of time.
If you see my hand moving, it's because I have to keep muting myself. That's for everyone that's joining us now. Okay, so that is very fascinating. I had no idea. So I have a question in the comments here. They want to know, do you have your own YouTube channel to subscribe to?
Yeah, thanks for asking. You can just look up Earthworks. Acupuncture is ACUPUNCTURE. My logo's bright sunny yellow, and it has the thing in it. But yeah, on my YouTube channel, I actually went through a lot. I made that channel. I created that channel during the beginnings of the pandemic, just for like my own peace of mind, but also to connect with other practitioners back here now. I was out in Oregon at the time, but back here in North Carolina to, help my community connect with, natural healers who were already here. And so a lot of those interviews have to do with people of color that were here, that were doing healing work. And then also I had a few interviews that were outside of the country, like in Africa. My friend and activist, Kambale Musevuli, he does a lot of activism work within the Congo region, but he was stationed in Ghana at the time when I was interviewing him. So we were getting like a firsthand look at how they were seeing and viewing the pandemic from that lens, from like African lens. And then also I brought on one of my absolute favorite providers, which kind of circles back around. Her name is Dr. Lee, and she actually took me under her tutelage, and she's really renowned in obstetrics and gynecology in Chinese medicine. So I have a lot of interviews with her on my channel, and we also go through and break down all of the systems in Chinese medicine, like all 12 channels and their organs. So it's just an informative edutainment.
I will tell you this, I'm looking down because I tried to join the stream from my phone to type in Earthworks Acupuncture, and I hope I spelled it right. I was trying to figure it out.
I don't think I can see it, but that's okay.
Okay, so y'all, I'm gonna just let you know, just Google and make sure I spelled acupuncture right, because it's not a word that I write all the time. So now here I am trying to put my phone on mute so I don't have this horrible back and forth. So I'm just gonna have to turn my phone off because I don't know what I'm doing here.
Just one C.
Okay. One C?
Yep.
Okay. All right, y'all bear with me here. I'm trying to get this together. Okay. So I think that's really interesting as far as the Black history, and then too, your travels and working, especially. Oh, Joy Rosa. There you go in the comments. X, right? At the end of Rosa X.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, Rosa X. And so somebody, I don't know if you can see it, but they were there asking. Okay, I got my phone done now. So yes, traveling, working in the Congo, all with Chinese medicine. I would have never known this at all. I think that is just absolutely coolest thing ever. I really do. And let me say this, because I want you to talk a little bit about your experience too, and then we'll go into something else. But like, I know, like with my mother, I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there. So like with my mother, when she was alive, she had a whole bunch of different ailments, right? And I think she actually, which I was very surprised, because now we're talking about an older generation, even though it was familiar in the 70s, but now we're talking about an older generation that doesn't really relatively accept change and all the, even though it's not woo woo,
Yeah.
they think, it's woo, what is it? So pretty much having an understanding or thinking about something in a way that, I mean, because they don't have any understanding of it. But like, she would go and get acupuncture, and I found that very interesting. Like, I would look and these needles were in her back, and I'm just wondering, like, how, or have you ever had anyone who was very skeptical, like, what is this that you're trying to do? And have you changed their mindset about it? Like, how did that turn out?
Yes, and yes. And it hasn't just been older generations either that have been, skeptical about it. I think a lot of people, I mean, first let me say this, like, whatever medicine works for you, do you? You know what I mean? Like, I might be a care provider of sorts, but like, you should ultimately take the medicine that you're willing to receive and like meet halfway. Like, that's kind of a thing. But for this question in particular, I've had like all different generations in various forms either be very accepting and open to like energy work and healing and all this stuff, and like knowing that their own body wants to heal itself, like that's like an innate thing that it does and strives to do. But then there are often others who are like, what are you doing? Is this quack medicine? Like, what, what is this? And I mean, some youth too, they're like, nah, I ain't doing that, or like, I'm scared of needles or whatever. And it's just being unaware of a medicine. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, we can say that we're unaware of like several things, or like that, a little about a lot or something. But like, the more you can expand your mind, the better for everybody. And so what I did with my business from the beginning, I would go, once I plugged back into the community here, I'd go to the farmers markets, and I would just like have like basically my displays of, here's what it works on, and here's how it works, and here this is. And even without needles, I was using mustard seeds that were on the back of some non-adhesive sticky tape. We call them ear seeds. And I would be administering these to people in their ears. Sometimes that, not a protocol, that 5-NP. Sometimes I would see like young ladies, 11, 12, 13, who are just getting their first periods, and like helping them with period cramps. Sometimes I would see people who were just like elders and in pain, and just be administering these things with acupressure. And that's how I, was able to introduce the people, without invasive needles, and let them know like, this stuff works, and this is why, and you should donate. I'm trying to make a mobile clinic and give this to the people. And that's exactly what happened. It was literally like that age old, like the faith of a mustard seed, like that's how that was born. But a lot of people from all of that, they became like believers of the medicine kind of overnight. Like, I still have people coming in, sometimes either to the farmer's market or whenever I'm around town, and they'll say, well, they literally have said that before, like, oh, you've made me a believer of this. Like, I didn't think it was going to work. And they get up and their knee pain is gone, or, their headache is immediately gone, or, whatever. So yeah, it works.
I love that. I didn't even know, like, that's pretty cool that you could go out into the community and prove, that this works with mustard seed and tape. Like, that is so, I like that. That's cool. That's really cool. And so let me talk to you about this, because your specialty is fertility, right? I don't know if anyone here has heard me tell this story. I have a video up that was a while ago that I had done, but I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about this story, and then I want to kind of move into excuse me. If you I want to go into it and talk about how this methodology can help. So I know for me, like I went through a geriatric pregnancy. I guess that's what the community would say, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but pretty much my water broke early at like 17 weeks, and at 17 weeks, I went into the hospital, and they were pretty much like, "Hey, the baby's not going to make it, or you should go ahead and have an abortion." Like I had all these people telling me this that were medical doctors, and so I said, you know what? I'm just going to take matters into my own hands and do my own natural healing, put myself on bed rest, look at my foods and see what I'm eating. What can I do to increase my waters? And boom, now I have a 2-year-old, right? And he's healthy and thriving. So like for someone that's in a situation like that, like what do you do?
Ooh-wee. Well, a few things. A lot of it comes down to like real assessment. So this is like my medical school journey took me through a spiral. So I have to start there because I had learned, my first like year and a half of school, Taoist medicine, which is the roots and foundation of Chinese medicine, right? From the Taoist lens. But in that school that I was attending at the time, I just didn't feel like I was very well versed in Western medicine. Not that I am going to practice Western medicine, but at this stage in our history, in our life, and as Black people or Indigenous people, you have to kind of be a translator of some sort. What are they telling you versus what do I know? Like, what's the, and can they work together? And so that took me then all the way across country to get my degrees out in Oregon. And, so a lot of it, they honed in really well on like assessment and like when to even refer people out. Because sometimes you do have a medical emergency and, I'm not a full spectrum doula or anything like that. So it's like, I can't deliver per se, but just knowing when you have medical red flags would be number one. But number two on the flip is what does it say about geriatric pregnancies and for whom are the scale? Where is the scale being made from? Where do I fall in line with that? So that would be.
Yeah, so I think it's over 35. And at the time I was pregnant, and I can't remember if what am I? I forget how old I am. I think I was like 37, 38. Yeah, 37, 38. Yeah, and then
we're eternal.
I had to unmute myself. And so falling under that scale, like they just pretty much dismissed me. And that was like the worst traditional medical experience I ever had. I mean, I'll listen to them, like you said, okay, medical emergency, something like that. I'm going to listen, but I'm also going to take what you tell me and just kind of do my own thing, because a lot of people have a mistrust in the medical system as a whole, right? So like with what you do, how do you make people trust you? I guess that's the best way for me to say it.
That's a good question. And it's really about trusting yourself at the end of the day too. Chinese medicine, holistic medicine, for me as a provider, I'm always looking to empower the patient and make that co-creative healing space together. So if you're coming to see me for infertility and, I can work with you with that, I can, do the acupuncture, I can give you the herbs, I can tell you the food recommendations or whatever. And if you're also going to see, an OBGYN specialist and you're getting, IVF or IUI treatments, and they recommend that you don't see me for a particular amount of time, and that feels comfortable to you, do that, because even that will build trust with each other. I'm going to respect your autonomy as a woman who has their own fertility spectrum, and you get to make the calls. I don't. I can give you my information and you can use it at your will. So that's number one. And then like number two is just like, where is the information coming from? You know, like some people really need the Western medical, like how, why does this work? Well, I can give you that. You know, there's a lot of, you know, empirical articles, you know, research articles, double blind study, you know, whatever you want to look at to make it legitimate for you. But at the end of the day, also, I believe that women have been completely blessed with being, you know, a portal, so to speak, of the other world into this 3D world. And it's a God-given intuition. So if something feels right to you or not, that's your mother instinct, legit. Like, you should honor that and listen to that at all times. You can get a second opinion, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you're the mom.
That is so true. That is so true, that instinct, because I had prayed for this baby. Now, I prayed for him not to have a 9-year age gap between my first kid and the second, but, you know, he came when he wanted to. And I was like, you know what? I didn't get this far just for this to be taken away. So, no, we're not doing this. Okay. Here we have a comment. Okay. Oh, okay. If the average person doesn't know, pretty much shaman know. Oh God, I can't see. Shaman 05 said, you know, pretty much if the average person doesn't know its origin, or somebody, you know, meets you and say, hey, can I poke you like a lot? It'll feel good after. The average person will run. Yeah. That's true. The average person will run, because I mean, even then, like I even have my own encounters when I'm doing like energy work or readings or something. They'll look at me kind of crazy, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know, if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. If you're not ready to, or open to it, then, you know, I'm not going to force you. And I'm pretty sure you can relate to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, because some people don't want any kind of needle whatsoever, but there's all kinds of things. You know, I'm a Reiki practitioner. Sometimes I use tuning forks. If I had singing bowls, I would use them. I like those. You know, food therapy, just cooking your herbs. Like cooking is a huge medicinal, like just the aromas and like the practice of actually having something tangible and doing something to take care of yourself is healing. I mean, you know, digging through the earth to, you know, get the food that you have grown yourself, that's healing. So, and there's also studies about that too, you know, like we've heard like in the energetic world, like grounding, you know, like, or putting your feet in the soil or whatever, same thing. Same thing. If you're from the earth, that's it.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. You know, I wish I had found you when I was going through all that, but you know, everything works out. So, but yes, most definitely, like grounding, those are some things that, you know, I definitely suggest to people, you know, to do. And as I'm sure you have too. So, okay. So throughout your entire practice, I guess, what are some tips or, you know, suggestions that you would give to people who are, you know, looking to live a bit more holistically, whether it is going to the doctor, whether it is, you know, getting their energy, you know, together and balance and straighten out. What suggestions would you be, especially if they're trying to find a practitioner, or if maybe they want to do it on their own? I know it's kind of a loaded question, but
Yeah, like, well, it's a great question. I think just first and foremost, like try to identify what best pertains to you. Do you like holistic medicine? Are you using that on the regular? Are you a whole foods raw vegan, or do you like processed foods and this is all new to you? You know, like it's kind of assessing where you are, excuse me, on the spectrum of health and care. Like also, if you're going a holistic route, really how far are you willing to meet yourself and the provider, or like with the provisions that are given to you. And thirdly, like how much do you value your health? I know that that sounds like a loaded question, like what do you mean? Of course I value my health, but like a lot of holistic providers won't take insurance or don't take insurance, you know, it might be out of pocket. But when you look at the price comparisons, you know, it's so much less for so much more value. So that's what I mean about like, how much do you value, meaning even monetarily, like, is it, you know, $160, you know, every month until you get the results that you want? Or is it hundreds of thousands of premiums and dollars and etc. and surgeries and all kinds of stuff? Like, what best pertains to you? I think that would be the one question. And then I think you were asking about like tips. So like, yeah, that would be number one. But number two, it would just be to, what can you do most efficiently and effectively right away? Would that mean going through your cupboard and your refrigerator and kind of assessing like, how much dairy do I actually eat every day? Or, you know, how much sugar do I eat every week? Or just kind of evaluating where you are. Sometimes, you know, people just get like fed up, so to speak, with like their health stuff. That sometimes that's a driving force for change. But preventative medicine is less about waiting until the fall or the collapse and preventing those things. I think thirdly or fourthly, like, don't beat yourself up. Like, that's a huge thing. Like, this culture that we live in is so full of like guilt and shame and fear mongering that when you're starting out on a journey, you have to somehow figure out how to cultivate gentleness with yourself. And I think that that's huge. Like, there were moments, and I'm still healing, mind you, like there's no like end goal to healing. That's another thing. But like, when I first started and it had to do with like my back and things like that, like I had to be really gentle with myself. I was, you know, so energetic. I was always moving. I was always like lifting stuff, you know, just like being active. And while I went through that period of that healing, I couldn't be. And, you know, there might have been like days when there's frustration or whatever, but like, just figure out how to cultivate gentleness with yourself. It could be qigong and tai chi. It could be lighting up your altar or taking a salt bath or whatever, however you do that for you, you know, is really key. But food, I think, is the number one thing that especially women, and especially Black women and Indigenous women, need to really look at, and not just labels. Like, start growing your own foods if you haven't. Kitchen window box, herbs, whatever. Do that immediately. That'd have been number one too.
I love those tips. Those tips are absolutely beautiful. You know, it's funny because I don't know anything about growing a garden, but I told my daughter we were going to grow a garden. And so we have like these grow bags on our back porch. And, you know, some of them we killed off, but some of them are growing and we're excited about that. And I was just telling her yesterday, like, we're going to sit down and we're going to learn how to forage. It's going to be a big task. I have no idea what we're going to do, but we're going to figure it out.
Awesome. And it's all like, I love that this journey of medicine and healing has been so playful and like new. Like I said, like, my, ooh, what's this about? You know, the Chinese medicine, it even goes into like energetics of like herbs and crystals and things like that. So I'm just always consistently like, what am I learning now? Like, whoa.
You know, I went in and changed all of my little ticker things. And I think I just realized that for some reason it did not change on this end. Because what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that people are able to get in contact with you. So you are located in...
Oh, I'm in North Carolina. I'm in Greensboro.
Oh, yes, you're located in, oh, hold on a second. You know, today, you know, I tried to say, oh, retrograde is not going to do anything to me. And then I'm like, okay, here we go. This is retrograde. And I swear to God, I have not had this many issues at all. So see, it's showing on this side. I don't know why it's not showing on my tablet. This is really weird. Okay, so I am going to hopefully show this from my phone. No, that's not it. Okay.
On mine,
I don't know what it's doing.
it
Did
came
it
up.
show? Did it show you? Your
Yep. Mm-hmm.
no. See, this is so crazy because it's showing up weird on my. It's showing up my last gas information on my tablet, but as long as everybody can see it.
Yeah, it shows it.
Okay, well, good. You know, I'm not even going to worry about it as long as everybody can see it. So, if you all are looking to get in contact with Miss Joy Rosa X, then by all means, get the information off the screen that you can see, but I can't see, but it works out. And be sure to hit up her website, hit her email up if you have any questions, because I know I have learned so much more, and I am going to be one of her patients for some other things I got going on. And I had one more thing too. Oh yes, your YouTube. So I put that in the chat, but acupuncturist with 1 C, so ignore my spelling. But definitely, I enjoy this.
Thank you so much. I did as well.
Yes, holistic medicine, Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is holistic medicine. Get your life right, because I know I'm doing the same. So I appreciate the opportunity for you to be here. Join us next week with, I forget what we're doing next week, but we're going to be back. We're always talking about spirituality and how to better your life. And so thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of you all, and I will see you next week on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you. Peace.